Aloha. This is section 1.3. Tech is everywhere and you'll need it to survive, so geek up. In this section we're going to look at a trend in not just computing but in the workplace. So as we're going to discuss later on in this course, there's this trend called Moore's Law, which basically means that computing is getting faster and cheaper. There's kind of something parallel to that in the workplace. Is because computing resources are getting faster and cheaper. What that means is more and more jobs are getting technology embedded into them. Okay? In this section you're going to read about several of these several of these ways that management disciplines are being increasingly influenced by technology. Okay? We're going to look at finance, accounting, marketing, operations, human resource management, law, and then we'll finish off with a discussion of information systems careers that may be of interest to you. Okay, so first of all, with finance, why does a finance major care about information technology? That's really the question here. Well, in finance, you have a couple of various career paths that you may pick. If you're going into investment banking, you're going to need to learn how to value initial public stock offerings when a firm decides to go public and sell stock on a public exchange for the first time. So you're going to need to ask yourself and figure out, how do you value a technology company? Okay, how do you value Facebook? What is Google worth? How do you value Netflix? If I'm buying a company that has a heavy information component, it's not like I can just look at their inventory and say, there's the value of the company. So how do you value digital assets and the promise for the strategy and the profitability of these business models that are based on network technologies? Okay, so valuing IPOs, valuing mergers and acquisitions. Okay, so we'll see these tech headlines. Facebook buys, what was it? Some instant messaging client for, I think $1 or $2 billion. Okay, they offered Snapchat $3 billion and were turned down. What is this, right? How do you value? Why in the world is a company that allows you to take pictures and send them to your friends worth $2 billion? Okay. Why is a company like YouTube, back in, I think it was 2006, somewhere around there, why was a company like YouTube worth over $1 billion as a purchase price? Being able to value these companies matters because this is a lot of money that's being thrown around. Okay, so finance is heavily influenced by technology today because technology companies are doing a lot of these purchases and a lot of these mergers and acquisitions. Okay, lastly, if you go into financial markets, right? So financial exchanges are pretty much operating on technology. You may not be aware of this, but in many of the market exchanges today, roughly half of all of the publicly traded transactions that are going on are done on an automated level. That means human floor traders are not doing the trades. It's all being done by software. The rules that we set up, trying to predict how we're going to follow the market, how we're going to buy and sell commodities, stocks, bonds, how we're going to exchange money, and it's all being done, or a lot of it's being done, by computers. Okay, so basically the economy, in many senses, the financial market is on autopilot. When you transfer money between banks, you're not moving suitcases full of cash anymore. You're moving bits, zeros and ones, representing values of money stored in computer systems. So effectively, most of the money supply has gone digital. Okay, so as a finance professional, you're going to have to figure out, excuse me, you're going to have to figure out how much is all of this worth? How much of your individual stock portfolio should go towards technology companies? Okay, next, accounting. Okay. If you're looking at going into accounting, you need to understand that the accounting data, the numbers used for accounting, is collected, processed, stored, and reported by information systems. Right? Most companies don't use paper-based ledgers anymore. We have computer-based information systems. So the reliability of your accounting records is in part due to the reliability of your information systems. So auditors not only need to audit the ledger accounts, they need to be able to audit the information systems. All of the big four accounting firms have very strong and usually profitable technology centers, tech divisions. Okay? Many of the big accounting companies have spun off independent consulting practices that focus on technology-based businesses, technology-driven activities, and these are often even more profitable, or at least generate more revenue, than the audit and tax sides of the business. Okay, so technology is a big part of accounting today. Okay, next, marketing. In today's marketing environment, we're seeing more and more money being moved into digital channels, digital marketing channels. So we've got ads showing up on websites, and digital sales channels. Right? So if I have an app on my iPhone that allows me to purchase something, whether it's I can purchase services, tangible services that like airplane tickets, or it might even be I can purchase now digital goods and services like electronic books. Okay? And furthermore, because I'm doing all of this advertising, or much of my advertising now through the internet, through applications, and so on, I can now track the performance of my ad dollars, okay, in a much more fine-tuned manner. I can see if you clicked on this ad on a website, and then I can see that you followed through and ended up making a sale. Or maybe you clicked on the ad and didn't end up making a sale. So I get a lot more data available to me. Now, I still need to be able to make sense out of this data. It's not easy. It's not just, great, now we've got internet advertising, so there's no more questions as to where our money's going. But there's a lot more data available to you now as a result of advertising channels that are digital. And more money is being diverted away from traditional outlets like newspapers into digital outlets like websites, like ad networks. We'll learn about these throughout the semester. Okay, so beyond that, there's new opportunities for marketing, or extended opportunities for word-of-mouth marketing through social media applications. So how do we leverage the 1.2 billion people on Facebook to tell their friends about your product? Okay. How do we understand how Google ranks results in its search engine results algorithms so that your web page, your brand campaign, gets it to the top of the list, or even your ads make it to the top of the list? Okay. So there's a whole new discipline growing out of search engine optimization that's making your websites get further up the results list, and search engine marketing, which is understanding how to get your ads to perform better in the digital area, that are increasingly being required of today's marketers. You can't just say, well, yeah, I understand marketing, but I don't like that technology stuff. It's not going to cut it anymore. So marketing is increasingly going digital. Okay, operations. It's usually not a hard sell to get operations students to understand that technology is required to perform well in their field. Okay? Technology has long been recognized as a source of increased operational efficiency, of enabling new business processes that may add increased value to our product or service, may allow us to generate a sustainable competitive advantage, okay, may allow us to acquire raw materials and deliver materials in a much more efficient or innovative way. Okay. So there's lots of opportunities within the operations, within bringing goods in and transforming those raw materials into finished goods and getting them out to the customer. All of that is very heavily influenced by how we use technology today. Okay, if you're majoring in human resources, right, you want to work with people, recognize that increasingly firms are using technology to recruit, train, evaluate and monitor, retain their employees. Okay, so we're trying to find ways of getting employees up to speed. So how do we do this? We can develop automated training tools of varying efficacy. We have internal social media tools, so kind of think Twitter or Facebook for the business, okay, for the enterprise. We have other types of knowledge management systems that allow us to leverage this, okay, allow us to learn on the go. Okay. Increasingly, recruiters and job applicants are using professional networking tools like LinkedIn to identify and recruit and reach out to make matches between potential employers and potential employees. Okay. So HR is being transformed by technology as well. Okay. Now, some business students end up wanting to pursue a career in law, and if that's you, recognize that there's a lot of space in law for technology-focused career moves. Okay. Companies that are using information technology, using these tools to increase the competitiveness of their businesses, are relying on intellectual property. Right? We're defining, I own these patents, this copyright, this process that's supported by technology, and I need to be able to identify, establish, and defend that intellectual property. Okay, so we're looking at patents. We're also looking at privacy. We need to understand the privacy of our customers, the privacy of our employees, and we often need to fight against piracy. Right? I have some intellectual property because the internet makes it so easy to copy and distribute intellectual property. Right? So you may know people who have gained copies of movies, books, music, software without paying for it. They found it freely available online. Okay. We need ways of identifying and establishing laws to protect the interests of businesses and consumers in this space. So tech-related law is a growing field as well. Okay. Now, if you're thinking about a career in information systems, there's lots of opportunities there as well. There's a very strong job outlook for individuals who have strong technical skills, and you'll read about that in this chapter. Okay. Recognize that as you're reading about this, maybe you don't have space in your course plan, in your academic plan. I can't fit another course, but I'm really interested in this technology. What do? There's other resources online like iTunes University, like Udemy, like Coursera, like edX, and other Code Academy. Just there's a growing number of resources for developing technical skills if you're really interested in this. Okay, so please, by all means, if you've got time, take another class. If you don't have time but you have additional motivation, try to squeeze in some of these online resources. Geek Up, you're going to need it to survive. This goes beyond, it's not just about learning to code, about programming, although that's very valuable today. It's about understanding things like user interfaces, how people interact with computers. It's about redesigning processes. It's about identifying ways that we can design the business's strategy to use information technology. Okay. Understanding the way that information technology and information systems work within a business will give you a good feel for what we call cross-functional understanding. It can be very helpful in understanding how the whole business works instead of your individual functional silo or functional area. So this could be a good opportunity to invest in learning about information technology so that you have a broad understanding of the business and perhaps give you a bit more upward mobility regardless of whichever of these career paths you may choose. Okay? So there's lots of opportunity, there's lots of promise, and whatever career you choose, technology is going to be influencing the way you work.